Hey everybody, welcome back to another news roundup. Hope you guys been enjoying the content channel as of late. Hope you guys were enjoying the plethora of reviews that are just all over the channel right now. Hopefully we'll have a few more in a few days because I plan on seeing some other films here and there. So hopefully you guys are enjoying all that. But we have another news roundup for this week. Got a couple things to talk about, lots of trailers actually, and a few news bits here and there. So we're just going to cut this short as we always do, and we're just going to dive right on in. So coming off the weekend, we had the latest in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Fantastic Four First Steps, make its debut in theaters. We did a review for it. If you want to hear me and my brother's thoughts, the video is now out. But we now have some numbers in regards to the box office, and it's not great. It's not great, and we'll explain why. So, but talking about how much the film made, it collected a global debut of $218 million, which is not a bad thing. You know, that number is not particularly bad. It's actually a fairly solid number in terms of general box office numbers. But when you go to the investment itself, how much the thing cost, that's where we start to see why things might not be as good as they seem. So according to Variety, the production costs amount to about nearly $200 million, after previously reporting that they cost, quote, more than $200 million. I'm not entirely sure why there's a discrepancy here with Variety, because according to Variety also, the marketing expenses amount to, quote, more than $100 million. And there's not been any confirmations yet from other outlets. Very odd. I've not seen any solid confirmations from other outlets yet. If I do, I'll leave some images here so you can see it. But as it stands, you know, there's just kind of a mystique in the overall from these outlets. And I think that's just becoming a weird trend, weirdly, this month. But we'll go with the assumption, though, that the marketing costs amount to at least $100 million, which isn't, you know, completely out of the ordinary, because Marvel typically spends roughly $100 million on marketing. So if you have roughly $200 million and you have $100 million as an investment overall, the film carries about at least $300 million in terms of a overall investment. And doing calculations, of course, the film will need to make at least, as my kitty is just meowing, wanting to come over and say hi. The movie needs to make at least, by my standards, $900 million in order to break even. Now, if we're just doing a simple 2 times ratio, the film will need to make at least $600 million, bare minimum. So, if this all sounds like the same dialogue that I had said for Superman, when we talked about Superman's opening weekend, it's very similar numbers, and I feel it's going to be met in very similar ways. I feel this is fated to become the same trajectory as Superman has. Superman so far has collected $500 million, and that's coming off its third weekend. I feel as though that at the end of the day, it will probably match out to Superman, at least in similar numbers. Because Superman, I think we can all assume at this point, it's probably going to be like 650 to 700. That's probably where the film's going to end up, which, as we talked about, is not particularly great. And in Superman's case, it has a little bit more on the table in terms of an investment. Now, we don't know how much Fantastic Four is just solidly. We're just saying, just bare minimum, the film cost $300 million as an overall investment, but it could be more than that according to Variety. So, but I think that when it's all said and done, I think that it will end up being profitable, but barely so. So, because as you know, I've illustrated, this is a film that, you know, should be doing more than the bare minimum. It should be doing at least $1 billion or at least 900, you know, to be considered a true success, you know, just to turn a profit, yeah, it does need, it has to do at least 600 million, at least by my calculations. But that's not, I think, what the company's expectations are for this film, especially coming off from this year. I mean, this really, I think, just rounds out what has probably been the worst year for Marvel, because none of their movies have turned a profit. Captain America didn't turn a profit. Thunderbolts didn't turn a profit. This might be the outlier to that, but it's barely going to be that way. I don't think it's going to be a massive, massive success. I just don't think it has that kind of legs. It has good reception going on, but I don't think it's going to hold out. And it just, I think it just goes to show you that, again, audiences are really, really fickle, and they only care for what they already know, meaning that, they like, characters that they grew up with and knew about. And it's hard to convince people to see new iterations of specific people daunting those mantles and whatever. They just with new characters also, it's just hard to convince people to really come along for the ride. Sorry if I hit my mic, by the way. It also illustrates a necessity to manage investments more thoroughly, because how many, I'm tempted to do a video just to talk about how many investments this year have gotten to like $300 million range. Like, it's insane how many projects this year alone carry an investment total of more than 300 or just $300 million. It's crazy. So yeah, I think next year for Marvel, it will be a better year, because you're definitely going to see a return of some kind of cash flow, because we have Avengers coming out and Spider-Man, which I think are going to become easily profitable in their own respects. So per what this is, I think for what, just box office is, I think that's not a bad start. But when you look at the investment overall, how high it could potentially be, it's not looking to be anything more than, I think, a soft win for the studio, which I guess is a silver lining in what has been, frankly, a bad year for Marvel. So I can't count it as like a success. I just think it's going to be more of a okay, like that did enough. But in the vein of like Fantastic Four, I think that it's different expectations than something that Superman has, where Superman, it doesn't need it. That Superman cannot afford to be okay. It needs to be great. Fantastic Four, I don't know entirely what the company's expectations would be for that series, moving forward, but definitely, just as an individual movie, I think that it's just going to turn out to be okay. So, yeah, we'll see how it unfolds in the next few weeks, but I think that it has a similar trajectory as Superman has. I think it's going to end up maybe at 600, at 700, and it'll end up doing okay. Maybe a little more so than Superman, just because the investment potentially is not going to be as high, but we'll see. We'll see once we get solid numbers. But yeah, I wouldn't call this a major success story. I think it's off to an okay start. Again, similar to Superman, I think that if this did 300 million on its opening weekend, I think that maybe we'd be singing a different tune. But as it stands, it may indeed be profitable at the end of the day, but it's not going to meet the expectations, I think, that the company would have wanted for these movies, for the Fantastic Four, at least for how Marvel expects movies, and just literally how they expect movies to make money. I just think that they expect more out of this, and hopefully definitely next year, they will see better results. So. All right, let's get into a story that we've talked about a few times on this channel, and we finally have gotten an update regarding the biopic revolving around Michael Jackson, simply titled Michael. We've talked about this a few times. There was talks about splitting the movie into two different projects, and there was some additional photography going on right now with some reshoots as well that are underway, which is going to take up at least a month's time. So there was discussions about delaying the film, and it indeed has happened. So it has been delayed 6 months from its initial October release, now slated to be released on October 24th, 2026. And it is indeed relation to the reshoots and additional photography and the ongoing discussions of splitting the film into two separate pieces. According to The Hollywood Reporter, a second film is indeed in development. So they are pursuing the idea of splitting into two films, which I am totally for. I think it's a smart move. As previously reported, the production costs still stand at least $155 million, which aren't factoring into the current reshoots or additional photography taking place. So that number is probably going to go up a little bit more, probably closer to maybe 200 at this point. We'll see. But yeah, this was completely expected. I mean, there was no marketing for this at all, and the movie was expected to be released in October. Yeah, you were going to delay this, especially for a price tag that heavy, especially for also a notable name like Michael Jackson. You'd want a few months to market that because you're more than likely to get a bigger draw out of it. And again, the investment itself, you just need more time. So, and with the reshoots, it's just like all these factors in play. It's like there's no reason to be releasing it right now this year when there's all of these things happening at once. So, and they've been toying with the idea of splitting it into two purely to just find ways to bring the cost, or at least to find a way to manage the rising costs that are with this production. Because, as I said, it's $155 million right now, but that's not factoring in the additional photography going on right now. So I think it's the best move for the project. I've been saying that. I think it's a great move. But I think that it's great because it'll not make for a larger investment for each individual film, because splitting it into two little bite-sized films initially, like something like $80 million film a piece, or at least something to that extent, that creates a lot more possibility for turning profit. With each individual piece, rather than having a big chunk, $155 million, and you hope that there are lots of draws out there, at least that the film resonates heavily. So it minimizes risk, basically. But as I said before, also, since there's now additional photography taking place for the first film, as far as I can tell, to try to make it more standalone, there's potential now for these movies to hit triple digit ranges, bare minimum $100 million a piece, which would have been avoided if you just worked with the 4 hours of footage that you have. I don't know if some people didn't, if you haven't looked into this, there's at least 4 hours, according to sources. There's 4 hours worth of footage at their disposal. And I said it before, if you can't tell one complete story with 4 hours of footage and condense that stuff into a 2.5 hour feature, there's something fundamentally wrong with the film. It just is. I know by design, I know there's editing, there's a framework, there's all that stuff, but it feels as if you literally have 4 hours of footage and you can't figure out a way to make that a 2.5 hour feature. There's something either fundamentally wrong with the film or something fundamentally wrong with the filmmaker. So we'll see how this unfolds. I think that they made the right decision. I just worry that they won't get as much a return on investment. They won't get as much a return on investment when it's all said and done. But we'll see how it all plays out. So. Alrighty, we got a couple of trailers to discuss for today, and then we're going to call it a day. So let's get into it. So the first trailer we're going to discuss is the teaser trailer for Avatar: Fire and Ash. Of course, if you went to see Fantastic Four this weekend, you got preview to the next Avatar film. So this stars once again Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana, Stephen Lang, and Sigourney Weaver. They're all returning back in their roles. Co-written and directed again by James Cameron, who directed the first two Avatar films. and this has a release date for December 19th, 2025. So, to be perfectly honest with you, I almost forgot that I saw this footage immediately after it played. I really did. I was just sitting in my bed, and then it like hit me. I was just like, "Oh yeah, we saw Avatar footage," and it really is the impression that this series has had for me. I just it does nothing more for me than just be a pretty picture, and pretty pictures don't really do much for me if they're not expressive, if they're not filled with substance. And in the case of these Avatar films, I've never have gotten the whole craze for them, and I don't think that they really get a large discussion, but yet they're the highest grossing films of all time. But no one seriously sits down and talks about these movies in a like very like they don't talk about it in the same vein as like a Star Wars or a Marvel or a DC, where there's like rich source material or developments. Like it's just more about aesthetic than anything. Or hey, it's a way to have 3D still be around. People are so done with 3D at this point. Like it's very, very bizarre to me, but the whole craze about Avatar and why it just generates the billions of dollars that it does. So yeah, I've never been interested in the slightest. I saw the first movie, didn't really do anything for me. Saw the second one, didn't really do anything for me. So this new for the footage, didn't really do more for me than just I might just do what it always does, just flaunting impressive imagery, which even at this point it doesn't really do much for me at all. I mean, I mean, it looks great, sure, I guess, but like I don't feel anything, because I don't care about this world. I don't care about these characters. And I feel as though that James Cameron is more searching for aesthetic than anything else. And I just could really care less about this world and these people. So I seriously doubt that I'll seek this out. Maybe just to round out the trilogy. Maybe I'll just give it one more go. It will shock me again to see the waves of people that come to see this thing and never talk about it again. So, because it's probably going to do well. I mean, these movies just do what they do, and people come and see them, but they never talk about them like afterwards. It's just a weird thing that happens with these movies. But who knows? Maybe this might be an exception to that. I don't know. It is coming a lot sooner than Avatar 2 did compared to the first, two movies, that are year gaps between. This one's coming a lot sooner, so I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. So, and the next trailer we're going to discuss is the official trailer for Predator Badlands. We talked about the teaser, and I don't remember much from it. I wasn't really enthralled by it. And I could say the same here. I don't personally care much for the series, and more footage from this kind of validates that feeling. Speaking just objectively, I think it looks decent, as per what's acceptable in filmmaking. But for what I fancy more than others, this just seems fairly formulaic and bland. I do like some elements, like I like the score, has this very cult-like mentality, which I think is kind of neat. Some of the aesthetic and some of the landscapes look kind of nice as well. Performance-wise, seems like there's some potential there as well, but it just doesn't really strike up much of an interest for me. It just like there's little aspects here and there that I can acknowledge that seem neat, but just per what it is, the world, all those things, I just don't really care. I'm really curious if it'll have legs financially, because it definitely seems like that they're looking to do something a little more expensive in terms of Predator, because Predator is usually done for low scale. Hasn't really been pushed into a more triple digit range or a higher range. This seems like it's definitely carrying a heftier budget. So we'll see. I have some trepidations on that front, but yeah, I'm not going to seek this out personally. It's not really for me. We'll see if others do. I will say it's cool to see that it's trying to tie into Alien, and that they're basically setting up Alien versus Predator again. Now that might be interesting to see in the future, but but I just don't really care. I just don't really fancy it all that much. So we'll see if you guys fancy it when it comes out. But I think I'll be sitting out this one. So. All right, let's talk about the teaser for a film called Keeper. This stars Tatiana Maslany. I think I say his name. Basically, a She-Hulk from the She-Hulk show, and Rossif Sutherland, who I believe is the son of Donald Sutherland, or I think that's right, Donald Sutherland or Keith Sutherland. I forget who it was. But yeah, this is being directed by Osgood Perkins, who you guys may be familiar with movies such as Gretel and Hansel, most recently with Long Legs, which I have not seen yet, and of course The Monkey, which came out this year, which I also have not seen. Both Long Legs and The Monkey I'd be curious to see, but have not seen them yet. This has a release date for November 14th, 2025, so this is the second feature from Osgood Perkins this year. And it's very vague. I mean, it's a very, just lots of shots of women from different time periods, it seems. Based on that alone, I'm going by the idea that this is going for some kind of portrait on toxic masculinity and the effects of such abuse towards like various women throughout different points of time. That's the impression I'm getting based on the collections of shots just squarely on feminine figures, and then they kind of are devolving into like unhinged or, scared like expressions. I can't say I'm intrigued because like there's very little shown, and like I said, I've yet to see films like The Monkey or Long Legs, so I don't have much of an impression about this filmmaker. But I don't know. To be honest, I would probably just seek something like this out at home. Me and horror don't do well in the theater. Yeah, I'm a little bit of a scaredy cat in that front. But we'll see. Maybe with more footage, I might have a different opinion. But as of right now, neat little trailer, but it doesn't really give me an impression of overall quality. So we'll see with more footage if it seems worth investing. But for now, I'm just kind of probably going to sit this one out. So. All right, the next trailer we're going to discuss is the official trailer for Five Nights at Freddy's 2. I believe we talked about the teaser a little while ago, but now we have the full trailer giving us a full look at the story, and I just don't care. I just don't care. I can appreciate the utilization of more practical effects, but I don't have a reason to care. The story doesn't seem interesting. It's got that same cheap quality the original had. Sorry, I hit my mic again. It's got the same director who I thought did a really poor job of doing the original. I thought the original was just garbage. I really did not like the original. It was just... It was nightmarish, but for other reasons. Yeah, it's not for me. It's really not for me. It's going to make money. I can tell you that. I mean, at least if good reception comes from fans. But I just don't care. I just don't. So, my brother is a big fan of the game, so obviously for him, he is very excited for this. And, for him, I wish him all the fun with seeing this film. But I don't see a reason to seek this out at all. I just don't care. So. And finally, the last trailer we're going to discuss is the teaser for a film called Train Dreams. This is starring Joel Egerton, Felicity Jones, Carrie Condon, and William H. Macy. It's being co-written and directed by Clint Bentley, who directed a film called Jockey, which I've never seen. And this has a release date for November 21st, 2025, and will be streaming on Netflix. There's no doubt that it's got some gorgeous imagery. It seems to be a very gorgeous looking film. The framework, the tinting, all of that, it looks very, very stunning to the eyes. narratively speaking, it seems it's going to be dealing with concepts of time within our present selves, within the future, kind of expanding out into like commentary revolving around an industrial landscape potentially. Someone was saying like this is kind of like relating to like, at least by the spirit, it seems like kind of relating to that of the Brutalists, which I never have saw. But again, Brutalists, at least from what I've been told or read, it's also was tackling themes about the industrial revolution. About just the impact of certain inventions and just new elements coming into the world. It looks interesting. I mean, the cast itself is great. I love Joel Edgerton. I think he's very underrated as a talent, and I think that I loved him in films like The Stranger and Comes at Night. Like, he's done some very interesting roles, and I do like, again, like the whole physical, like there's an object to the train, right? Like, I like the visual illustration that it plays, this idea of like passage between specific points in time and the train kind of being the center point of that. It seems interesting. I'm intrigued. I'm definitely intrigued. And of course, I love the little 4:3 ratio. I'm always a sucker for that. So yeah, I'll definitely keep an eye out for this. This definitely seems interesting. Great cast, it seems, and potentially narratively, it seems to be very intriguing. So yeah, definitely have this on my radar, and we'll see if maybe if I choose to watch another trailer, we'll see if my interest is still there. So, but yeah, those are my thoughts for this week, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Sorry if I'm a little all over the place. I am just still exhausted. I went to Black's Beach on Friday, and if you guys are familiar with Black's Beach, the stairway to get down to Black's Beach is hell, and I'm still exhausted from that, and my upper upper knee is just really stiff and all that stuff. So I'm just kind of tired, but let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below in regards to all of these topics. Your guys' thoughts on Fantastic Four, if you guys have seen the movie, and financially, how you think it's going to stack up. Your thoughts on the Michael Jackson film being delayed. Your thoughts on the Avatar trailer, the Predator trailer, the trailer for Keeper, the Osgood Perkins' next film, Five Nights at Freddy's 2, and Train Dreams. Let me know all your thoughts on all these things in the comment section below. And that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until then, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.